Welcome to Lecture 3 in Introduction to Applied Internet of Things. This is Programming Part 6. In this part we're going to discuss UART and also read the internal temperature sensor using ADC to have something to send to another Pico. First of all, UART means, it stands for Universal Asynchronous Receiver and Transmitter. It's a simple two-wire protocol for exchanging serial data. The asynchronous part means that there are no shared clock, and that means that we have to use the same baud rate on both devices. The two-wire thing means that there is one transmitter and one receiver. The transmitter is called TX and the receiver is called RX. And to connect two devices, you connect the RX from device 1 to TX on device 2 and TX from device 1 to RX on device 2. And then you connect both grounds together. On your pinout documentation, you can see that there are two different UARTs, 0 and 1, and 0 are default on pin 0 and pin 1, and we will use this one on the lecture, but there are another configurations. Just look at your pinout diagram, and you see that on pin 0 they are the transmitter, and on pin 1 they are the receiver. So to make it work and to send some data, you have to import it. So from machine import both pin and UART, and then you have to initialize it, and you just write UART, and then in this case we will use UART 0, and then the baud rate is 9600 in this case, and then I say TX is on pin 0 and RX is on pin 1. And if I want to send some information, for in this example I want to send a temperature 12 hard-coded in this first example, I can't just send an integer or a float. I have to transform it to a string. So in this case I use the string command to make the temperature to a string, and then append a new line in the end, and that will make it a bit easier to read the data from on the receiver. On the receiving, the same imports and the same init, but then you use uart.any to see if there are anything to read, and if there are anything to read, you can use the read line or the read part. The read line looking for a new line, and that's why we added the new line in the end. And then we have to change the data from a byte format to string format using data.decode, and then we want to remove new lines and spaces. We can use the command .strip on that one. The internal temperature sensor, it's connected through ADC4, so the analog to digital converter 4. It's internal, and what we do is to measure a voltage, and we know if there are 27 degrees Celsius outside, the voltage should be around 0.7 volts. And for every degree the temperature changes, the voltage go up or down by about 1.7 millivolts. And you can find this formula in the documentation, and I have just copied it here. And we will use this code to read the temperature from the sensor and then send it to another Pico to show it. There are 4 different analog to digital converters on the Pico. The first one is located on pin 26, and second 27 and 28, and then we have this fourth one, the internal one, we use for measuring the voltage. And the value we get is from 0 to 65,535, and 0 means 0 voltage, and the maximum means 3.3 voltage. So this code up here, first of all, is connecting the ADC here to the temperature sensor, and then we read it using read underscore U16, and we use this nice formula to read the voltage, and then we use the voltage to read the temperature. So in this exercise I will use two different picos, and one of them read the temperature, and another one receive it from the first one using UART and present it on a screen using I2C, and in this case I move the I2C to pin 2 and 3, and that's I2C 1. It will look like this in real life. This pico here reads the temperature, and it sends it to this one who displays this on this screen. So we will start with the receiving part and program that one. First we have to get the screen to work. I have imported both libraries from the screen, and I2C and UART from machine. So starting here to init the screen, I2C, and I should use this one, and the clock on pin 3, and the data on pin 2, and the frequency on 400, like that. And then the screen using and still this address, and 2 rows and 16 characters on each row. So first of all this one, and then we use the UART, and we use 0, and then the baud rate, to 9600. It's important that this is the same on both, and in this one I use transmitter on pin 0 and the receiver RX on pin 1. And now we can use the while loop, while true, and first we check if there are any data, if .any. If this is true, then we read it, data UART dot read line, and now it will look like this, a byte form. So we will decode it, data equal data.decode, and now it will look like, for example, 12. And to remove this one, we use strip. We can do it like this, or we can do it on another line. Doesn't matter. So now the data will look like this if it's 12 degrees. Now we will write it on our display. LCD.clear and LCD.moveTo, and first row and first column 0 0, and then we put the string. This data, and not in the if statement but in the while we have a short sleep, like 10th of a second. So this is the receiver. I will save it, and then I will connect the other one. So here is on the sender. I have imported UART and ADC, and I will start with connecting to the internal ADC. Call it temp sensor. And using the ADC4. It's important that we have this one here. Then in a while loop, I will start with reading the value, and I call it ADC value, and temp sensor, and then I use the read U16, and this will get a value from 0 to 65k around, and then we'll convert it to voltage using this formula. .3 divided by 65,535, and then we can calculate the temperature. Using another formula, 27 minus then the voltage minus divided by like this. And this temperature I will send to the another the receiving part using UART, and then I use UART.write, and then this str, and then the temp, and then append a new line, so I can use the read line instead of read. So remove this one, and maybe just sending a print so I can see that it has sent. This is not important, just for easy troubleshooting. And then I can append this so I can see what I'm sending. And then we have a sleep, and in this case I just imported time, so I use time.sleep and 1 for 1 second, and hopefully this one will work. And you see here it's sending you values. So now I will connect them both, and I will use an external power for this one, the second one, the receiver one. So hopefully we can increase here. We can see here that this pico is the one who is you see in the shell here sending values by using these two wires, the red and blue one, from transmitter to receiver and vice versa, and they are shared as common ground. So in this case the black cable is a ground. You can use any ground on your pico, it doesn't matter. So it's sending to this one who uses this screen to show the data, and I use you can't see it, but external power here to connect to this one over here, so I don't see, since I don't have another computer for this one, but it's working well. So here is using UART and reading data from the internal temperature on this one and sending it to this one using UART and displaying it on this screen here. Good luck, and if you have any questions, don't forget to use the Discord server to connect to ask us, and good luck.